back to Dragon Exotics, and I hope you're ready for Chapter 3 for Legends Turn to Ash. Well, here we go! Legends Turn to Ash, Chapter 3, An Adventure? On my bed was a dark brown backpack full of useful items. I packed necessary hygiene items like a toothbrush, toothpaste, floss, soap, shampoo, conditioner. I also packed a water bottle, snacks, and a small lighter, pocket knife, and some other random stuff. "Are you done yet?" Alzora asked impatiently. "You humans take such a long time to get ready." I glanced at her as I was packing the last item. "Could you please stop calling me human? Jeez, I have a name." But that's too much work." "Whatever, Whisper." She crossed her arms and turned her head to the side, barely glancing at me. I yanked up the bag and spun around. "All right, I'm ready. Though I kind of feel bad running away like this. Isn't my family going to worry?" "About time. Who cares? They'll be fine," Alzora muttered, already halfway through the window. "Oh, I know. I'll leave a note," I shouted to myself, proud of the idea. "Hey guys, I'm heading off for a bit with my friends. I'll probably be camping and such, so don't worry. Alrighty then. See you soon." I smiled as I taped the note to my desk. "Okay, let's go." Beckett, who had been patiently sitting in one of my chairs, stood up as a sign he was ready as well. After both Alzora and I had made it out the window, he followed clumsily. "It was nice to meet you in person, Whisper. I'm sure we will meet again soon. Have fun on your journey," Beckett said as he stared at the ground and scratched his head. "Nee," shouted a tiny creature popping out of his scarf. "Oh, hi, Dimphna. I didn't know you were awake." "Nee," shouted the little creature. "Whoa, what is that?" I asked in awe. The tiny creature, who was about the size of a small cat, climbed on top of Beckett's head and stretched its feathered wings. It reminded me of a miniature fox with a cat-like personality. I had never seen a creature like it before. It had enormous, fluffy ears and a little mane around its neck. Its tail was like a cat's, but it was longer, had pink rings around it, and a ball of fluff at the end. The most unusual part about this creature was its gradient coloration of pink and purple, and that it had 2 feathered wings on each side of its body, like a dragonfly. Beckett scratched the little creature's neck and looked me in the eyes. "Her name is Dimphna. She's a Vulpion, and, well, one of the last of her kind. She's really nice. Do you want to hold her?" "Wow, she's adorable. Can I really hold her?" I asked excitedly. Beckett nodded. Carefully, he scooped up Dimphna and handed her to me. Her fur was as soft as silk, and I didn't have the words to describe her wings. Remembering our task, I carefully handed her back. Wow, it's kind of crazy how we think we know all that there is to this world, but we were so wrong. Dragons exist as well as this little Vulpion. There's so much we don't know. I want to learn, though. I want to find out more about their life, the life of a dragon. But first, we need to save the world. "So, Alzora, what did you mean by the destruction has already started?" Alzora sat on her hind legs and crossed her arms once more. "What I mean is that all of our troubles have already begun. When I mentioned that dragons were disappearing, I meant that they would go on a mission or adventure and never return. There was no trace of them once they disappeared. But that wasn't the only problem. Polari has already met up with both the lightning and fire destined before us, and even so, this planet is continuing to rot. If anything, meeting the other destined pairs seems to have sped up the annihilation process. At the moment, the only change we can physically see is the amount of water in the ocean depleting. However, we have been able to sense this impending destruction for quite some time now." I had no choice but to interrupt. "Wait, so how can the ones destined to save the dragon race also be destined to destroy it? This legend isn't adding up. Besides, we haven't even met the other destined pairs yet, so the elements haven't been combined. We can't be the source of destruction." Alzora tilted her head and sighed. "You make a good point. All we can do now is, wait. Wait and try to find the other destined ones. Whatever is going on, we need help, and that's our mission. End of discussion." I glanced behind me, hoping to say goodbye to Beckett, but he was nowhere to be seen. He had left as mysteriously as he had came. A set of aviation goggles with a note tucked inside sat where he previously stood. "Whisper, Polari asked me to give you these as a welcoming gift." I hope you like them. Good luck. Sincerely, Beckett. Huh, okay, that was nice of him. So where should we start first? I smiled as I picked up the goggles and put them on as a headband. Alzora shook herself from head to tail, trying to relax her body, and yawned. Finally, it's about time you're ready to get going. Our first destined one is fire. Pulry told me that he was last seen visiting a small village in New Zealand. New Zealand? I shouted. That's so far away. For once in your life, can you stop complaining and just get on? She mumbled, agitated. I placed both my hands on Alzora's lower neck and jumped onto her back. This really doesn't feel safe. Chills ran up and down my spine. I tried to calm down my shivers and swallowed hard. So, any tips on how I'm supposed to hang on? Alzora opened her wings and glanced back. Her eyes had a devilish look to them, and my face drooped in worry. You'll figure it out, she smiled, putting all of her power into her back legs. She backed up and shot into the sky. I screamed like I had never screamed before. Even when Alzora carried me off for the first time, I wasn't this terrified. I was falling backward, so I had no choice but to grab the closest thing to me. Her eyes were filled with tears as I wrapped my arms tightly around Alzora's neck. I could hear her coughing, maybe choking, but I couldn't loosen my grip. Let go, she yelled. You're choking me. Slow down, stop flying vertically. I'm going to fall off. I screamed back in a panic. Alzora slowed down and straightened herself out. What the heck? I finally loosened my grip and sighed. I'm sorry, but I was totally going to die. You were going to die? I was the one dying. You were strangling me, she yelled in astonishment. I knew you were going to be a thorn in my side. I tightened my grip on her neck again and smiled deviously. Not my fault that you can't take care of your guests. She bared her teeth. Oh, so you want to play it that way? You are most definitely not a guest. More like a pest. She flew straight through the clouds above her and then dived in a vertical spin. I screamed once more. Well, more than I'd ever screamed before. I screamed and screamed some more. I screamed until I dared to open my eyes. We were still plummeting straight toward the ocean. Stop! Stop! I screamed. I'm sorry, just stop. No. I can't get wet. If she dives into the ocean with me, then everything I packed in my bag will get wet, including my phone. Worse yet, I would totally drown. Nope, no. If she doesn't stop, she's gonna be in a lot of pain real quick. Then again, I'm not too sure how I could get revenge on a dragon, but whatever, I would figure something out. During my hurricane of thoughts, Alzora spread her wings at the last second and glided forward at what seemed to be the speed of sound. She was only 2 inches from the water's surface. I could feel the water that splashed up sprinkling on my skin. With a few short wing beats, she slowed down and rose back into the air. This time, though, I wasn't scared. She was going at a much slower speed, not too fast and not too slow. It was perfect. It was comfortable. There was still a hint of terror residing in my body, so I gripped her horns to hold on. You know, I'm not as mean as I look. I wasn't going to drench you in water over a little fear, Alzora said calmly. She beat her wings once more in the air. I smiled and loosened my grip. I moved my hands so that they rested on her neck. So, how are we going to track this fire dude down? Any ideas? Alzora sped up just a little and answered. Based on what I've been told, I only know that he's in Taupo, one of New Zealand's northern islands. Information about why he's there or what he looks like is unknown. Well, that's not much to go off of, is it? I sighed once more. Alzora sighed as well. I know. How long do you think it'll take to get there? I asked, growing slightly impatient. Well, considering we'll probably stop to rest tonight, I say that we can be there by sundown tomorrow. Well, that's not too long, I replied surprised. It's already midday. It seems like time is going by fast. Oh, Alzora, I forgot to ask, but how do you know all these city and country names? I mean, I'm human, I don't even know where Taupo is? Human geography. By far the worst class I had to take. We even had to do a sky tour above some of the well-known areas, she answered, annoyed. I cringed at the thought of dragon school. Yikes, it seems like you guys have to learn a lot more in school than we do. But hey, at least you guys get to explore, right? Elzora nodded and put her attention back on the flight. The sun's rays felt good brushing my face. I laid back by habit and let my eyes fall shut. How did this happen? One minute I'm sitting in my room with little plans for the future, and the next I'm on a mission to save the world from a mysterious evil power. Correction, a mission to save the world from me. Why me of all people? I'm not special. I don't have many friends or talents, so why? Why me? And why Elzora? I wonder how Sierra is doing. I haven't been in contact with her for a while. I hope she wasn't dragged into this mess like I was. Then again, why would she be? Whatever, next subject. So Elzora mentioned that the other destined ones are guys. I'm definitely in for a trip of a lifetime, a long and possibly irritating trip. I tried to continue to let my mind drift, but it didn't hold out. I eventually fell into a light sleep. When I felt Elzora land, I woke up. Stars sprinkled the sky and smiled down on us. How long was I asleep? I yawned. With a straight face, she turned and stated, 50 years. That long? How do you look so young? I exclaimed, trying to play along. So, I'm guessing that we're stopping to sleep, right? And eat? Elzora slowly walked over to a large tree and lay down. Yeah, though I'm the one who really needs sleep. My wings ache. You were only asleep for a couple hours, by the way. Hope you got your beauty sleep, you lazy human. I'm sorry. I know my extra weight probably didn't help the flight either, I mumbled. She just glared at me and set her head on her paws. I slid off her back and scoped out the area. Do you think that there's a river nearby? I could catch some fish. As if your method of fishing could be any more efficient than mine, she smiled, annoyed. I never said my method was any better, I replied, confused. Geez, she's in a terrible mood. Well, I'll show her. Before I could say anything, she got up and started walking. I will get the fish. I know you humans like to cook your food, so build a fire or something. Wait, I shouted, but she was already too far away. Well, I guess I can make some beds. That may be useful, I said to myself. Then maybe I can make a small fire with my lighter. I searched around for a bit, looking for something that would be handy, but it was no use. The trees surrounded a large clearing. It was almost like the stars were inviting me to set up camp there. I looked around and sighed. We have the perfect spot, but there is nothing for me to use to set up. This is a pine forest. In movies, people are always using leaves for bed, but there aren't any. I could dig a hole. No, that wouldn't work. That's it. I turned around and stared at the moss resting at the edge of the forest. Moss! This stuff is perfect for a bed. I rushed over to it and picked up as much moss as my hands could carry. I ran to our campsite and back to the moss. The moss was so soft and it had a fresh aroma to it. There was a hint of a sickly scent, but the fresh smell seemed to outweigh it. I continued to get the moss until I thought I had enough. I first made an immense pile of moss for Elzora and then spread it out to her size. I made my pile slightly smaller and put it right next to Elzora's. I stood up quickly, impressed with my work, and smirked. Yep, this is totally awesome. Such a great idea. Good job, Whisper. Next, I set up a small campfire area consisting of wood, moss, and pebbles. With 2 clicks of the lighter, I made a decent fire. It crackled as specks of the red and orange flames scattered into the wind. Before I could finish praising myself for both the beds and the fire, I was nearly knocked over by a rush of wind. Elzora was standing right behind me with a fish impaled on each of her front talons. You were supposed to stay where I left you, she growled in a low voice. I put on a fake smile and replied calmly, Yeah, sorry about that. Hey, but look, this place is awesome. We can see the stars and I even made beds for us. Why are your claws dripping with fish guts? Using her teeth, she tore a fish off her claw and threw it right at my face. Eat. Hey, I shrieked. I let the fish fall slowly down my face and into my hands. The fish had a glutinous feel to it, and I was disgusted. I had yet to tell Elzora that one of my greatest fears was fish. How could something that tastes so good be so terrifying? Sure, I was okay with eating them, but when it came to touching and holding them, I would lose my mind. Now that I think of it, I don't even know why I offered to help get fish. My face shifted into an abhorred expression. Azora must have noticed because she was covering her mouth trying not to laugh. I threw the fish on the ground, embarrassed. "Stop it! What's so funny?" I could still feel the slime and blood from the fish on my cheek. Azora pointed her long, narrow snout upwards and burst in the laughter. She was laughing so hard that she fell backward onto the ground. "Your face!" At this point, my face was blazing with anger and embarrassment, but I decided to stay quiet. Once Azora was done laughing her head off, she wiped the tears of joy from her eyes and began to shove the fish she caught on her talons into her mouth. All I could hear was chomping and the sound of bones crushing. She was eating all the fish. I stared at the fish that I had previously thrown down, terrified. I snatched the fish from the soil, closed my eyes, and took a deep breath. Barely looking at the fish, I cut the head off with a pocket knife, quickly descaled it on both sides, and pierced it with a stick to roast over the fire. After it was slightly burnt on the outside, I carefully plopped myself on the moss bed and took one big bite out of the side of the fish. It definitely didn't taste like fear. It was delectable. At last, Azora raised her head and stretched deeply. She seemed like she was in a better mood now. I honestly thought she was just annoyed because she was hungry, though I was kind of annoyed for the same reason. The moon had risen to the center of the night sky. Azora crawled over to her moss bed and yawned. I glanced at her once more. On this night, I saw her differently. The full moon in the clear sky shined on her crystal white scales. Each scale reflected onto the other. Her wings seemed to glow just as the moon did, and her tail spikes absorbed the light. Why didn't I see it before? Azora was here. She was here, right in front of my eyes. Here on this warm, halcyon night. Here is where I realized that Azora wasn't on this mission for herself. Not even for her dragon comrades. She was here for the human race. The glimmer in her eyes and the relaxed smile on her face told the whole story. She knew that if something happened to the earth, as it did so many years ago, she would be safe. Dragons were the rulers of the sky, after all. Why was a dragon like her choosing to help humanity? I put my hands behind my head and rested on my back, gazing at the stars. It all seemed so distant. My life, this mission, and even my friends. Everything seemed so unfamiliar. Here on this night, I had learned one thing. Azora was chosen to be destined because she had more spirit than any dragon who has ever lived. And if we're going to pull through, we need her to guide us in the right direction. Well, 3 chapters into the book, guys. So stay tuned, like I always say, and as always, leave comments if you ever have any suggestions or just any basic questions about the book. I also wanted to add that there is a Facebook page for it. It's just the name of the book if you ever wanted to check it out. But yeah, I will see you guys next week. So have a great week. Bye.